Sorry, I had to unmute myself first, so I forgot to do that. Anyway, so hey everyone. So my name is Ashrut, and I just recently joined a few weeks ago. And I thought it'd be creative for my presentation since I'm the web design seat to actually have my presentation be a website. So this is just a sub page of my main link. So thanks to all the visitors for coming. I don't think I've ever presented to such a large chapter, such a large group of almost 70 people or over 70 people. So anyways, just a little bit about me. My name's Ashrut, and I'm in my early 30s. I was born and raised in Northern Virginia, and I stayed in the area for college. I went to Georgetown, where I studied neuroscience, psychology, and math. And so the way I got into like web design and software engineering was a classmate of mine. He was running for student body president, and he said, "Do you know how to do a website?" And I didn't really know how to, but I said I did because I always felt like it would be something that I would be good at and something I would really like. So that's kind of what, the start of it. The second thing is my family. So it's really my mom and me. My mom immigrated from India, and she's a naturalized citizen and she's a lawyer, and so she represents juveniles and infants. She's a court-appointed attorney, so essentially people who like can't afford a job. And this is a fun picture of us over the summer. We were going around Northern Virginia for like SEO optimized pages to different places, and so this is a picture of us in front of the Alexandria City Town Hall. So a little bit of a joke. Brian alluded to this. So how exactly do you pronounce your name? It's actually not a common Indian name at all. It's a very, very unusual. So it's pronounced Ashrut Rode. So I kind of jokingly said it's like imagine you take Usher, you cut him in half, and you put a tree root underneath him. It's kind of a funny joke. A lot of Indian names, the A is pronounced as if it were a U. So anyways, a little bit about how it works. So for me, it's really a three-step process when I meet with clients. I first have an initial call, try to understand what they're interested in, what they really want. Then the design process, I'll go ahead and design a website for them based on, with the specifications that they asked for. We usually do half of the payment as due before the project starts. And then the final steps is we get ready to host the website, push it live onto the internet, and we can do one round of edits. So some of the services I really wanted to focus on too. So one thing that I really pride myself on is I do a really high quality job. So, I get a lot of people who make comments like, your websites, they're really very high quality, much better than, what I see in other people. And, we try to like choose good fonts, good color schemes, good images, just so that it really does look in a professional way. The second thing is this concept of responsiveness. So that means that when people come to your website, it renders well on a mobile phone, a tablet, and a desktop. And that's really important because a large part of the website traffic can be mobile. In fact, for some websites, some very common ones, like I think Facebook.com, I think more than half of the traffic on the website is actually through mobile. So it's really important that it renders well. I generally stick to WordPress as the web design technology. And in our chapter, even the people who are in positions related to web design, we generally do WordPress. And the reason why is no other web design technology has this level of market share. 42% of all websites online are WordPress websites. So the next is Shopify, and that's only 4.1%. So one advantage with sticking with WordPress is if you ever had a problem, it's quite likely that someone else has had the same problem. There are a lot of plugins though, so for a lot of complicated functionality, we can pretty much do everything. There are some circumstances where we may deviate from it, but generally we do stick with WordPress. So here's a portfolio. These are actually a little bit older websites I designed it, but here's one for a business coach. Here's an immigration law website. Here's one for like a solar panel company. And my high school classmate, she's a chemistry professor, and I created a website for her. And what's nice is that you can kind of arrange it by different categories and industries. And so one thing that really makes me stand out compared to other web designers is I have that software engineering background. So I'm able to create like these kind of complex JavaScript applications. So this is a cool custom code animation that highlights randomly 10 cities in Northern Virginia. And I live in Falls Church, so I can go ahead if you click that and you open in a new tab, it'll actually take you to that place on Google Maps. So I'm able to code a lot of these things. And a lot of the work that I did in 2024 was actually helping other web designers who needed maybe a more technical solution. So in terms of pricing, our pricing is pretty standard. It's a little bit lower than what design agencies charge, but it's more than what you're going to get on like Fiverr or Upwork. It's around $3,000 to $10,000 per website, depending on the complexity. For people who want monthly support, I can do it for $1,000 a month. That's like maybe extra blogs or other additions. And if for any ad hoc projects, I can just do like $100 post launch, or even for people who just maybe want a little bit tweaking here or there. So in terms of ideal referrals, I really put clients in three categories. The first category would be like these really large multinational companies. Think like Apple and Tesla, Walmart. Those probably aren't really the best fit because they're such complicated projects and you really need an in-house team of engineers. The second tier is really kind of just the sweet spot. These are successful small businesses that have the revenue to support 3+ thousand dollar websites. So lawyers, consultants, financial advisors, accountants, nonprofits, even people in the trades like plumbers, electricians, businesses that probably have at least $100,000 in revenue for them to support our pricing model. And then the third tier are people who maybe they just have like they can only spend $300. Those, I mean, I'm happy to help them out if I have time, but those generally aren't really the best fit because we can't really make a full-time income if we only charge $300. So just some final last words. I mostly design websites in WordPress because of its extremely large market share. So my main competitive advantage is that I can create these custom JavaScript applications, custom code applications. In terms of industry, I'm pretty agnostic. I've helped out professors, nonprofits, lawyers, and business organizations. Feel free to schedule a one-to-one with me, even if you're not in my power team. I'm happy to chat with everyone. I've already spoken to around 20 people, so I'm trying to make my way to all 52 members and refer clients who need a new website or revisions to their current website. I can almost certainly help those who are in the tier two category. Yep, so that's it. If I have any time for questions, I can maybe take one or two.
Yep, we have time for a question or two.
Work with anyone, any type of business?
Yeah. So really it's about finding that like the tier two category, the people who can pay around at least $3,000. But I'm really like open. I've helped like so many people. So, a chemistry professor to a nonprofit to like a lawyer. I have a lot of experience in a variety of industries.
And will you work on websites like after they've already been developed by somebody else?
Yeah, so I've had like some chapter members in our chapter even come up it and do that. And so that I would do that on like an hourly fee. Yeah, totally okay with that too.
All
Although
right.
you're most
Yep.
affluent with WordPress, would you work with others like Wix?
Yeah, so I have been kind of moving into Framer a little bit. That's kind of used for other like more like tech startups, but I could definitely help out with Wix and Shopify too for e-commerce websites.
All right, that's our last question. For timing purposes, we're going to turn it over to Diamond. Go ahead and share your screen, Diamond.